How I Turned a Christmas Trash Bag into a Haunting Family Secret That Lives Forever. The night was unusually cold for December, a biting chill that crept through the town like a ghost visiting long-forgotten memories. Under the dim glow of a single street lamp, a black trash bag lay abandoned on the curb, a forgotten relic of the holiday season. But this was no ordinary trash bag. It bulged ominously as if harboring secrets too disturbing to remain hidden. The town whispered about it, nervous laughter mingled with apprehension. Everyone felt it, an unsettling sensation twisting in their stomachs, like a horror movie they couldn't look away from, yet never wanted to see unfold. As the clock struck midnight, the bag started to twitch, a soft, almost imperceptible wiggle beneath the gathering frost. You had to look closely to catch it. An icy wind swept through, dampening all sounds, turning the world into a waiting silence. The eerie quiet was broken only by the sharp crackle of twigs snapping underfoot as I crept closer. My heart hammered in my chest like a wild animal desperate to escape. What could possibly be inside? I dared to peek, the frigid air stinging my cheeks, and there it was, a glimmering object poking through the opening. My breath caught as the truth hit like a punch. This was it. This would be the spark that ignited everything, but what everybody thought was trash was just the beginning. The bag erupted with mystery, layers of wrapping paper and ornaments tumbling out like lost memories. I fished out a delicate porcelain angel, chipped yet strangely beautiful, its eyes hollow but all-seeing. It didn't belong to me, and I didn't recognize it from any family traditions. Tension thickened the air, the chill expanded to a warmth of foreboding. My heart raced. Some local legends whispered that once you touched something from the past, it could change your future. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The sky above seemed to deepen into an ink-black abyss, stars twinkling like distant reminders of the unknown. I stumbled back, my hands trembling as a sense of dread unfurled in my gut. What legacy had this trash bag carried? An echo of laughter? A family secret? A forgotten tragedy? All my senses screamed at me, urging me to run. Yet, something deeper tugged at my curiosity. What if unraveling this mystery could unlock more than just the truth? I was so close to uncovering something immense, yet part of me felt the weight of warning bells ringing in the air. Secrets can ruin lives, right? What if my family was next? I needed answers. Or maybe I was just inviting chaos. As frost crept higher on my ankles and the world around me remained cloaked in shadows, I turned my back to the bag for one last glance, wondering if I had unleashed a curse or a life-altering truth. Could I walk away from this? Only time would tell, and I was ready to find out what horrors lurked behind that beautiful porcelain facade. The next morning, the sun desperately tried to shine through a blanket of gray clouds, but the chill of the previous night lingered, wrapping around the town like an unshakable fog. I could feel its weight as I stepped into my kitchen, vaguely aware of the porcelain angel resting on the table, a silent sentinel of unanswered questions. What had happened to the owner of that angel? I tried to dismiss it, shaking my head as if that alone could wipe away the unease. But each time I caught a glimpse of the delicate figure, my heart sank deeper. I could almost hear the whispers of those around town, their hesitant yet curious speculation circling like hawks. My family had always been the type to steer clear of the bizarre, and yet here I was, up to my ears in something sinister. The phone rang, a sharp sound breaking through my thoughts. It was my mom, her voice laced with the kind of worry that sent shivers down my spine. Have you heard about the Johnsons? I took a deep breath, already dreading her next words. They found something in their attic. I think it's another one of those cursed things. Cursed. The word hung in the air, heavy like a warning. What do you mean? I asked, trying to keep a steady tone. Oh, you know, she hesitated, just something odd from last Christmas. They say it's causing strange things to happen. A flash of panic gripped me. Was this related? The angel's porcelain face loomed in my mind as I silenced her rambling, fearing that my own discovery had stirred up something dark. Mom, do you think it's connected? I don't know. I just have a bad feeling, she sighed. You should be careful. After I hung up, a decision settled heavily on my shoulders. There was no escaping this. I had to know what this angel represented. I needed to dig deeper. But curiosity danced dangerously close to obsession as I replayed the night's events. That insatiable chill. The deeper I went, the more I felt I was entering a whirlpool of secrets that could drown me. Later that day, I pulled out the town's archives. A creaky chair welcomed me as I settled into the local library, the perfect place to uncover hidden truths. Each dusty book whispered tales of the past, begging to be opened. I flipped through pages, searching for mentions of the Johnsons, the residents who had encountered the bizarre before. Minutes stretched into hours, time slipping through my fingers like grains of sand. Finally, a name leaped out at me, Clara Johnson. She had been a beloved figure in the town, known for her annual Christmas gatherings until she vanished mysteriously one year. The picture next to her name captured her radiant smile, one that didn't match the tales now surrounding her disappearance. My pulse quickened. What if the porcelain angel was more than just an ornament? What if it was her legacy? Suddenly, a presence filled the air. I felt eyes watching me. I whipped around, but the library was still, a perfect silence etched into the walls. Heart racing, I refocused on the page. A kernel of truth sparked in my mind. The angel could hold the key to everything. Before I could dive deeper, the library door creaked open. A figure stepped inside. It was a woman, tall with long dark hair and eyes that glimmered with unnameable secrets. She glanced at me and then at the page I had opened. Are you looking for something? She asked, her voice smooth yet unsettling. Just researching. But I could tell. She knew. And just like that, the sensation of dread returned. This was more than just a search for answers. It was an awakening of entwined fates, and somehow, I had become part of the story. What would happen next? Her gaze bored into me, and I felt that icy grip again, realizing that whatever this woman was, she wasn't just a stranger. She was a player in the tragic story unfolding. What had I stumbled into? And was I ready for the truth she might reveal? The woman took a step closer, and the air grew thick. My heart pounded as she leaned over the table, her eyes so intense I felt stripped bare. Why did it feel as if she was seeing right through me? There's a reason you're drawn to that angel, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, as if revealing a secret meant for my ears alone. I stiffened, unsure whether to push back or silently nod along. It's just an ornament, I mumbled, but the tremble in my voice betrayed me. No, she replied, shaking her head slowly. It's not just an ornament. It's part of a bigger story, Clara's story. Clara. The name hung between us, echoing with weight. I couldn't help but wonder how much this woman knew, how deep her connection to Clara ran. Who are you? She smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. Someone who has been searching for answers too. Someone who understands the burden of these cursed things. Cursed. The word rang in my mind like a bell tolling. What do you mean? The angel is a bridge to the past, but it's also a warning. Many have tried to unlock its secrets, but few have lived to tell the tale. She paused, letting her words echo in the charged silence. Those last words sent a jolt through my body. Was she implying that Clara's fate could mirror my own? You're saying people have died? Because of this angel? The woman took a step back, her demeanor shifting as if she had revealed too much. No one has to die, but the truth, it has a way of consuming those who seek it. With that, she turned abruptly to leave, but my instincts kicked in. Wait. What do you know about Clara? What happened to her? She hesitated at the door, glancing back over her shoulder. What you discover, you will uncover on your own. But trust me, there are shadows here, and they are always watching. And just like that, she slipped out, leaving behind a palpable dread that clung to me. My mind raced as I sat alone in the library, the dusty books now feeling oppressive, the shadows gathering around me. The porcelain angel seemed to glow ominously, beckoning me to understand. What shadows? What truths lay concealed beneath the surface of Clara's life and her disappearance? The questions gnawed at me like a hungry beast, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being hunted, not just by some unseen force, but by the very history of this town. I hurried out of the library, the cold air biting against my skin. I needed to find out more about Clara, about the angel, and about what lay beneath the town's surface. I envisioned her life, the Christmas parties, her laughter filling the rooms of homes that now stood silent with secrets. But where to start? The Johnsons were the key, but what if the truth was hidden from them as well? That unsettling feeling gripped me tighter. It was visceral and real. If I continued to dig, I risked becoming another name whispered in the darkening shadows. With my pulse quickening, I felt a desperate urge to drive to the Johnsons' house, but the weight of uncertainty mounted. What if they were just as lost? Or worse, what if they knew more than they let on? As I sped toward their home, I glanced at the angel resting in my bag. It felt alive, thrumming with ancient energy. The secrets woven into its porcelain skin called to me, pushing me to uncover the truth. And as I turned onto their street, a chill ran down my spine. A figure stood at the edge of their yard, watching me approach. The sun barely pierced through the gray clouds, yet the silhouette shimmered against the twilight. Who were they? Did they also carry the burden of this haunting legacy? Before I could blink, the figure turned and ran, disappearing behind the Johnsons' house. My heart raced as I parked. This was no mere coincidence, and I could either follow or turn back. But there was no turning back now, not after everything I had uncovered. I stepped out, determination fueling my every move. What awaited me could shatter the fragile peace here, and I was ready to face whatever haunted these streets. What truth awaited me at the Johnsons' house? Would I finally understand the curse behind that angel, or would I become ensnared in its past? The darkness enveloped me as I stepped out of my car, the cold air clinging to my skin like a shroud. I didn't know who was watching me from the shadows, but the pulse of my heartbeat echoed in my ears, drowning out everything else. I thought about going back, about retreating to the safety of the library where the whispers of secrets were barely more than a breeze. But the thought of Clara and the angel rooted me to the spot. I had to go forward. I moved toward the Johnsons' house, my footsteps muffled against the grass. The house loomed, a dark silhouette with its windows like hollow eyes staring back at me. I could feel the weight inside that home, a heaviness made of fears and unspoken words. Each step felt like a countdown, urging me closer to whatever lay within. Behind the house, the yard was a mess of shadows and tangled weeds. As I drew nearer, I spotted a broken swing set swaying eerily in the wind, which sent a shiver down my spine. Clara must have played here. The thought made my stomach twist. Had she known the danger that lived beneath the surface of her smile? The sound of shuffling footsteps pulled me from my thoughts. I turned and saw a woman standing under the dim glow of a porch light, her face strikingly familiar. Mrs. Johnson. Her eyes were wide, reflecting both fear and recognition. "What are you doing here?" she called, her voice trembling slightly. "I need to talk to you," I replied, trying to steady my breathing. "It's about Clara." Her expression twisted, as if the name itself had cut her. "You shouldn't." She glanced toward the house, her unease evident. "You shouldn't poke around. It's not safe." "Not safe?" I echoed, the words tasting bitter. "You're saying that your daughter's disappearance isn't something to investigate?" The pallor of her face went ghostly, and she took a cautious step back. "You don't know what you're asking. There are things that should stay buried." The tension thickened like fog, weighing on my shoulders. "Why? Because of the angel? Because of what happened?" I pressed, desperate for answers. "I know there's more to Clara's story." Her gaze darted again toward the darkness as if expecting something or someone to emerge. You don't understand. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Even those who try to uncover the truth about Clara, they end up marked. It's like the angel chooses who to punish. Punish? My voice was an urgent thread weaving between us. What are you talking about? What did she find? What did the angel do? Before she could respond, the ground shifted beneath us. I felt the vibrations, a low, pulsing thrum that called out from the earth like a heartbeat. Mrs. Johnson's eyes widened. We need to go, she urged, backing away. But I felt tethered, pulled deeper into the mystery by the very pull of the angel I carried. Wait. You have to tell me. Suddenly, a sound erupted from the shadows, a crash followed by frantic footsteps. A figure stumbled into view, a boy, no older than 10, his face streaked with dirt and fear. Mom. They're coming. They're coming. He gasped, eyes darting wildly. Mrs. Johnson crouched down, pulling the boy close, but her eyes flicked toward me. You have to leave. Now. Cold dread washed over me. Whatever was coming felt more threatening with each heartbeat that I in that moment. Clarity struck me hard. I realized I was not just uncovering Clara's story, I was stepping into it. The shadows surrounding us were not just remnants of the past, they were alive, and they were watching me. That I couldn't turn back now. I had to face whatever was behind this. But as I turned to confront the encroaching darkness, the fear churning in my gut whispered a terrifying question. What if I was already too late? With uncertainty thick in the air, I stepped closer to the Johnsons, ready to face the night. What lurked beyond the shadows? Would I emerge with the truth or become just another story lost in the whispers of this cursed legacy? The boy's terrified eyes held a world of fear I couldn't comprehend. What do you mean, they're coming? I asked, my voice a tremor against the mounting tension. They're always here. They come for the ones who ask too many questions. His voice cracked, sending another shiver down my spine. I could see the shadows behind him shifting, writhing as if they had life. A dark figure loomed just beyond the light's reach, face obscured. It felt like a predator, lying in wait, hungry for something. For me? Please. Mrs. Johnson hissed, gripping her son tighter. We need to get inside. Now. I hesitated, torn. The urgency in her voice yanked at my resolve. But something deeper urged me to stay, to uncover the truths I sensed echoing around me. I had already stepped into the abyss. To pull back now felt like betrayal, not just to Clara, but to the very essence of the secrets lurking here. I can't leave until I know, I said, the weight of my decision settling heavily with each word. The boy shrieked as another crash sounded from the darkness, louder this time, sending a spray of panic across the yard. Mom. They're getting closer. Mrs. Johnson's face drained of color. We need to go. Now. She turned, nearly dragging her son back toward the safety of the house. With a sudden surge of resolve, I took a step toward the shadows. No. Wait. Let her know I'm here. Are you out of your mind? She shouted, but her words were nearly swallowed by the shadow's malignant pulse. But then the air shifted. Something cold and biting darted through the yard, a wave of dread that prickled at my skin. The darkness thickened, swallowing the light from the porch bulb. Then, I saw it. A shape unfurling just beyond the reach of the light, a tall, spectral figure. Its form flickered like candlelight, its presence almost tangible, sending ripples through the air. I felt a jolt as if jolted by static electricity. Mama! The boy screamed, pulling at his mother's hand. Stay back! I shouted at the entity, heart racing. The words felt futile, but I was too far gone. The figure took a step forward, the air around it crackled as if drawing strength from the terror it inspired. The sensation was overwhelming, but beneath it all came something else, a whisper, laced with familiar sorrow. Clara, I breathed, finally recognizing the echo. It drew nearer, and the whispers grew louder, filling my head with voices of the past. The disorientation made me stagger. These were Clara's friends, they were other victims of the angel's curse, all of their spirits trapped within the folds of time. Listen. You don't belong here. Mrs. Johnson screamed, pulling the boy toward the door. I could see her desperation, the way her eyes flicked nervously to the encroaching figure. They'll take you. We must go. But I felt anchored to the moment, as if a revelation was about to strike. What did Clara find? Why were you terrified? The shadows pulsed, their whispers blending into a cacophony. Then, like a gust of wind, the figures seemed to sway, revealing a glimpse of clarity amidst the chaos. I caught a flash, Clara's face, a scream frozen in time, her eyes wide with realization. Suddenly, I was yanked back, the boy's hands pulling me from the abyss. Please don't. He cried as Mrs. Johnson urged him onto the porch. But just then, the darkness surged forward, and I felt its icy grip entwining around my heart. There was only one choice before me, to plunge deeper into this horror or to forsake the truth once more. Mom. Don't leave her behind. The boy begged, his small voice a candle flickering against the storm. Time slowed. I felt caught at a crossroads of fate. Would I step forward and uncover Clara's truth, or would I leave her behind, forever entangled in the shadows? As the ghostly figure stretched one last time toward me, the question echoed in the air. Who would be sacrificed for the truth? And as I braced myself against the coming storm, I knew that the ultimate revelation was just a heartbeat away. The shadows pressed closer, thick and suffocating, as if they were alive, each tendril whispering fears I didn't even know I had. I felt the heavy weight of the boy's eyes on me, his desperate plea stabbing at my heart. I was torn, caught between the urge to protect the innocent and the overwhelming curiosity pulling me toward Clara's ghost. Clara. Can you hear me? I called, my voice thin and wavering. The air tasted stale, laden with mustiness that burned in my throat. As if answering, the figure shimmered, its form shifting around the edges of my vision. Clara's name echoed in my mind, stirring something deep within me, a longing, a need to know. Mama. Please, let us go. The boy pleaded again, his tiny hands trembling around his mother's waist. But Mrs. Johnson stood frozen, her expression a mix of terror and resignation. If you don't leave, if they take you, her voice faded, choked by sobs, as if she could almost see the price of curiosity written in blood. That I could feel the grasp of the shadows tightening around me, a visceral chill creeping up my spine. It beckoned, yearning to be understood. Yet, instinct urged me to retreat, to escape the claws of the misery manifesting before me. My heart pounded a question: was it selfishness to seek the truth when a child's life hung in the balance? Why are you here, Clara? I pushed through the suffocating dread. The air quivered, and suddenly, a chorus of flickering voices seemed to cradle my question. It was disorienting, yet I felt a pull, like I was entering a hidden realm woven through time and pain. At first, nothing happened. But then, Clara's spectral figure swelled with unearthly light. Her features sharpened into focus, a face I remembered only in fragments, smiling and glowing before darkness swept in. Help us, she whispered, the plea threading through the chilling night. The words crashed against my heart like waves, a tangle of despair clouding my judgment. What do you want from me? I shouted, the frustration surfacing as my breaths became frantic. Why won't you tell me? What happened? With sudden ferocity, Clara's anguish poured forth, her sad eyes met mine, conveying a message that felt as raw as an open wound. They take the curious, she warned, her voice trembling. The truth is a price we cannot pay. A bone-chilling gust swept closer, and shadows stretched, ravenous and hungry. It was as if the darkness danced at the edges, waiting for me to falter. The voices became a chant, rising and falling like a storm, a warning woven through laughter and despair. Leave now. Mrs. Johnson's voice broke through, her scream splintering the tension. We have to go. They'll take you, too. In that moment, I knew the risk I faced. Would I dive into this crypt of despair for a truth that could destroy me? Or should I honor the living, the innocent boy pulling at his mother, desperate for safety? With a final glance at Clara, my heart wrenched. Her face was forever stitched with sorrow. I took a step back, then glanced at Mrs. Johnson. I had made my choice. I can't let this darkness win, I whispered, feeling the power of both fear and determination battling within me. Mom! Don't leave her. The boy shouted, his voice trembling, and a sense of hope flickered like a dying ember. As I turned to join them, I felt a hot jolt, something primal rippled across my skin. The shadows roared, a promise of revenge in their growl. I paused at the edge of the porch, breath suspended. Shadows writhed around me, ready to pull me back, ready to claim me for their own. Would Clara's truth break free into the world, or would I become just another lost soul among the whispers? The howling darkness clung to me like a second skin. The choice loomed ahead, clear and terrible. Would I fight, or would I flee? A crash resonated in the distance, prompting my heart to race. What happened next would change everything. The ground trembled, shaking beneath me as I stood on the precipice of a decision that could seal my fate. What mysteries awaited as I stepped away from the abyss, and what would happen if they sought me out? Instead, I stumbled back, the urgency of my escape twisting painfully in my gut. The shadows surged forward, palpable and wild. They seemed to stretch, eager tendrils reaching for me like desperate hands, pulling me closer to the threshold of Clara's sorrow. My instincts screamed at me to run, to protect the boy and his mother, but my heart pulsed with an unbearable curiosity. Mama! The boy cried again, his voice high and wavering, echoing like glass breaking. I turned, barely registering the cold sting of tears mixed with fear pooling in my eyes. Don't leave her. The moment hung thick with dread. Clara's face flickered in my mind, her haunting gaze wrought with pain. What could have happened in this decrepit house to seal her fate? Was this darkness part of the truth she was desperate to share? The fabric of dread weaved even tighter around me. Please! I gasped, dragging my gaze back to Clara. The shadows growled, their discontent vibrating in the air. What lies did they cradle in their cold embrace? Clara! My voice was more forceful now, challenging the sprawl of darkness. What do you want? The figure swayed, a muted glow pulsating like a heartbeat against the darkness. It morphed, twisting into a shape more defined. The key, she murmured, her hollow voice barely audible, each syllable dancing off into the wind. It knows it always knows in an instant. Those words hit me like a lightning bolt. Key? My breath hitched. Suddenly, a memory surfaced, a forgotten box in the attic, buried under years of dust and neglect. A key had slipped from the back of my mind, faint yet profound, its significance pulling at my conscience. My chest tightened. The boy's desperate tug on his mother's arm blurred in my vision. I could see it now, a shadow of a past just waiting to be unburied. Do you mean the attic? I whispered, the phrase catching like fire in the frigid air. Is that what you want me to find? Suddenly, Clara's ghost wavered, her desperation morphing into a faint smile. The truth is buried, she said, her voice unraveling like tendrils of smoke in the wind. You will understand soon. Before I could process her words, a deafening roar erupted from the shadows, a cacophony of fury that threatened to swallow us whole. Mrs. Johnson yanked the boy closer, a primal instinct binding her to protect him. We have to go. She screamed, her voice trembling but determined. Now. I hesitated, my heart torn between the living and the dead. The shadows swirled impatiently, the air thickening with sulphurous dread. I could feel the energy shift, an unseen tempest spinning around Clara and myself, drawing tighter with each second. Finally, I turned, propelled by urgency. The porch creaked beneath my feet as I raced to catch up to Mrs. Johnson and her son. Just as I reached for the door, the ground rumbled violently beneath us, throwing me off balance. What was that? The boy squeaked, his eyes wide with terror. An awakening, Clara's voice drifted through the chaos. You're closer than you think. I spun around, looking for her, but she had already faded into the obscurity, her essence mingling with the swirling shadows. With every pulse of darkness, an echo of her warning hung in the air, taunting me like a distant memory. The world around me lurched as I pushed through the door, stumbling into the safety beyond the threshold. But inside, the whispers of the shadows lingered, swirling in the corners of my mind. I trembled, I was standing on the edge of something monumental. What had I unwittingly uncovered? The shelter of the house behind me felt like a warning, a gauntlet thrown down. Could I really ignore the mystery of the attic, the fateful key that waited in the dust? As the night deepened around us, I felt an unsettling pull toward the house again. Clara's words replayed in my mind, beckoning with chilling clarity. You will understand soon. Could I resist unveiling further secrets, or would I delve into darkness, risking everything for some deeper truth? The choice loomed again, and I stood at the cusp of discovery, resolved to unravel the family secret that threatened to destroy us all. What awaited me in the attic, and at what cost? Pain wrapped around my chest as I blinked against the cold night air. The weight of Clara's urgency lingered, trailing behind me like a shadow, something I couldn't shake off even as I stood outside the house. The creaking wood of the porch beneath my feet sent icy shivers up my spine, carrying with it the echoes of Clara's fragmented cries. What do we do now? Mrs. Johnson's voice quivered. Her wide eyes darted to the house as she held her son tightly. He leaned into her, seeking comfort in the storm of confusion and fear that had been unleashed. We need to go back, I said before I even had time to think it through. The words felt like a chain binding me to the ground, pulling me back toward the darkness. No. We need to leave. She shouted, shaking her head, panic etching harsh lines on her face. That place is dangerous. I know, I replied, my heart pounding like a war drum. But Clara, she wants me to find something. It's in the attic. I can't just ignore it. The boy whimpered, squeezing his mother's hand tighter. The weight of his fear pressed against me, and for a moment, I felt the near overpowering guilt of wanting to uncover the truth while knowing it could rip apart the fragile safety they clung to. Just let me take a look, I urged, my voice low, filled with a determination I barely felt. If I don't find out what's going on, this won't end. Not for us, not for Clara. Someone has to understand. Mrs. Johnson hesitated, her eyes glistening with uncertainty. What if it's too late? She whispered. Then we'll have to deal with that, together. It took one last glance at her son, his little face pale and frightened, for her resolve to crumble. She took a deep breath and nodded, albeit warily. Okay. But I'm coming with you. With a nod, I stepped back toward the house, the door creaking open as if it were inviting us back into its heart. The air inside was stale, hanging like a ghost, weighty and foreboding. The shadows seemed alive, swirling and watching from the corners as I led Mrs. Johnson and the boy inside. The attic door loomed at the end of the hallway, a gaping mouth ready to swallow us whole. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the house itself was attempting to pull us back. The air got thicker as I approached the door, and every instinct screamed for me to turn back. But Clara's words pushed me forward, echoing in my mind like a ghost's lament. The truth is buried. Reaching for the doorknob, I felt Mrs. Johnson's hand on my shoulder. Are you sure? Not at all, I admitted, swallowing hard against the lump in my throat. The door creaked open, the smell of dust and old wood hitting me like a wave. Darkness enveloped us, deeper than what lingered below. I fumbled for the light switch and finally cast stark beams across the room. Boxes were piled everywhere, adorned with the cobwebs of neglect, like tombs holding secrets of a family long lost. What are we looking for? The boy asked, his voice a mere whisper. A key, I replied. Clara said it knows, it always knows. I started to rummage through the boxes, my hands trembling with anticipation, while the shadows outside loomed, eager for us to make a mistake, to fall into the snare of their malevolence. Each box I opened revealed relics of family memories, dusty pictures, broken toys coated in a thick layer of despair. As I turned to sift through one last box, my heart stopped. There it was, a small, ornate key nestled among the faded letters and ribbons. Its surface shimmered even in the dim light, a cruel contrast to the depth of sorrow around us. Is this it? I breathed, holding it up for them to see. Suddenly, the room chilled, and a shudder traveled through the floorboards. A shadow slithered against the wall, coiling and gathering, pulsating with a tangible hunger. You shouldn't have done that, Clara's voice echoed, thick with warning as the darkness congealed, growing more powerful. What do we do? Mrs. Johnson shouted, gathering her son protectively. My hands grew cold, clutching the key. It felt alive, pulsating with potential and danger, a bridge to hidden truths. Whatever lay ahead, an unearthly urgency urged me on. Before I could answer, the shadows rushed at us with a bone-chilling rage, suffocating the air with their ferocity. Run! I yelled, but as we broke towards the door, I knew we'd crossed a point of no return. What waited for us beyond this revelation, and could we grasp the truth without losing ourselves to the dark tide? The shadows roared forward, a tempest of darkness threatening to swallow us whole. I could feel the cold breath of the unknown as it brushed against my skin, a sinister whisper urging me to tremble. Panic seized me, tightening my chest until every breath felt like a struggle. This way! I shouted, my voice barely breaking through the chaos as I grabbed Mrs. Johnson's arm and pulled her toward the door. The boy trailed close behind, his small feet barely making a sound on the creaking floor. I could feel the primal fear radiating off him, sensing it deep within me as well. The key was heavy in my palm, its surface slick with sweat as I fought to keep it from slipping away. Go, go, go! Mrs. Johnson urged, her grip tightening on her son as we barreled through the door and into the hallway. I glanced back at the attic, dread pooling in my stomach. Shadows writhed there, twisting like hungry serpents, and for an instant, I saw the outline of Clara, her eyes pleading. Then darkness consumed her once more. We raced down the hall, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm. Each footfall felt like a countdown, the house trembling, urging us to flee. We can't let it catch us. I gasped, knowing somehow that whatever that darkness was, it had a singular goal to claim us. Just as we reached the stairs, the howl of wind burst in from the old windows, freezing the air solid. A shudder ran through the house, and the lights flickered, plunging us into swirling shadows. I could hear their whispers, vague and haunting, echoing our fears. The key. What was this key? But there was no time to question. The darkness surged, crashing down around us, a wave eager to engulf us. I sprinted but stumbled, my foot catching on an old rug. The fall was sharp, my body hitting the floor, and before I could scramble back up, I felt cold fingers grasping at my ankles, powerful and relentless. Help! I shouted, the words spilling desperately from my lips. Mom! The boy cried, his voice laced with terror. Mrs. Johnson turned, her maternal instinct kicking in as she lunged forward, pulling me upright. Don't look back, she said, urgency cutting through her words. I nodded, swallowing my fear, and together we charged down the staircase. We burst through the front door, the cool night air hitting us like a slap, invigorating yet haunting. We were free, but for how long? The house loomed behind us, its windows staring like hollow eyes, watching as the shadows slithered down the porch steps. What do we do now? Mrs. Johnson cried, her breath ragged. I glanced at her, trying to find the right words. We need to figure out what that key unlocks. It's tied to whatever Clara is trapped in. If we don't stop this, a sudden rustle interrupted my thought. The boy gasped, pointing towards the woods. There, at the edge of the trees, stood Clara, her figure cloaked in the night. But something was wrong, her face twisted in anguish, mouth moving silently, as if trying to scream through an invisible barrier. Clara! I shouted, my heart racing anew. What do you need? Her form flickered, the shadows around her writhing in agony, pulling her back as if a tether held her captive. She reached out, fingers stretching in desperation toward us. Then, in a moment of terrifying clarity, I understood. Clara, where's the key? Suddenly, the ground beneath us trembled, the earth threatening to split. I clung to Mrs. Johnson and her son while the trees shuddered, a cacophony of whispers growing louder. The shadows were calling to me, beckoning, a siren song of secrets worth unraveling, but at what cost? Clara! I screamed again into the night. What do you want us to do? Just as quickly as she appeared, she vanished into the darkness, leaving behind a chilling silence that froze the air between us. We had come this far, but the truth loomed larger than ever. Whatever she needs, it's deeper than we realize, I whispered, the weight of realization crashing down. Mrs. Johnson's eyes widened, the fear morphing into something else, a determination to confront the darkness. "We have to go back," she said, steeling herself. "Against the unknown. For Clara. For us." The shadows swirled around us like a gathering storm, leaving us on the edge of a decision. Would I have the courage to unlock Clara's truth, and could we survive the darkness it unleashed? The tension in the air was thick enough to slice. They stood at the edge of the woods, shadows flickering in the moonlight like forgotten dreams. I still held the key in my hand, its weight felt heavier than ever, as if it were alive with the energy of all the secrets it guarded. Clara's desperate form had vanished, and the silence that followed was unnerving. What now? I breathed, less to Mrs. Johnson and her son, and more to myself. "We go back," she said, resolve washing over her voice like a wave crashing against a jagged cliff. "We owe it to Clara." Her determination ignited something within me, a flicker of courage battling the dread curling around my heart like vines. "Okay, let us do it," I replied, even though every instinct whispered against it. The key pulsed in my palm as if reminding me of my responsibility. But I never wanted this burden, I never asked for it. Yet here we stood, bound to Clara by tragedy and urgency. As we made our way back, the night deepened around us. The old house loomed like a specter, every shadow seemed alive, eager to consume anyone who dared to know its secrets. The door creaked open, an eerie invitation, and I took a deep breath, pressing forward. The air inside was oppressive, thick with whispers of the past. "Stay close," I urged, my voice steady despite the fear clinging to my skin. The darkness felt oppressive, swallowing the light with every step we took deeper inside the house. The attic awaited, looming above us like a heart pounding, heavy and real, waiting for us to uncover its secrets. "Do you really think the key will help?" the boy asked, his voice just above a whisper. "It has to. Clara wants us to find something," I reassured him, though I was not sure I believed it myself. Up the creaky staircase, we climbed, the shadows swirling behind us like vengeful spirits. I led the way to the attic door, stopping just short as my heart raced. Mrs. Johnson gripped her son's hand, and together, their eyes mirrored my fear. "Here we go," I muttered, slipping the key into the rusty lock. It turned with a satisfying click, and I felt an energy surge as I pushed the door open. Dust danced in the light, illuminating the chaos of boxes and forgotten memories inside. "What do you think we're looking for?" Mrs. Johnson's voice was barely audible as I stepped inside, scanning the clutter. "Something that can free Clara," I replied, stepping further into the attic. The shadows were thickest here, and I felt the pull of the key towards the far corner of the room. Together, we began moving the boxes. Every rustle was a reminder of the countless lives intertwined in this space. "Clara, I hope you're still with us," I whispered, pulling out a box filled with faded photographs. As I rifled through them, the images captured a life full of love and joy, then descending into darkness, clusters of family gathered around a Christmas tree that now stood heavy with sorrow. Suddenly, I felt something solid beneath the pile, a small chest hidden underneath the weight of forgotten dreams. "Here," I exclaimed, lifting it free. "Open it," the boy begged, his eyes wide with anticipation. My heart raced as I set the chest on the floor, the key still warm in my palm. "Ready?" I glanced at Mrs. Johnson. She nodded, fear but also hope reflected in her eyes. I twisted the key in the lock and the chest creaked open, revealing its contents, a collection of letters, each tied with a ribbon, neatly stacked in a way that felt both sacred and terrifying. "What is all this?" I breathed, touching the top letter, the paper soft and fragile like Clara's dreams. With trembling fingers, I lifted an envelope, its ink faded yet legible. It bore Clara's handwriting, words I could barely decipher. "Read it," urged Mrs. Johnson, her voice a blend of hope and fear. As I began, my heart raced. "My dearest friends," I read aloud, the words wrapping around us, mapping a journey of laughter haunted by a shadow that grew thicker every year. It spoke of love, joy, and then the menacing presence, the curse hiding behind a beautiful facade. At the core of it all was a Revelation: Clara had discovered the origins of the porcelain angel, a relic entwined with dark magic. The more it was loved, the more it demanded sacrifice. When Clara had held it on that fateful Christmas, the darkness within blazed to life and claimed her. There must be a way to break the curse, I murmured, the key vibrating in my hand. What if it requires a payment? The thought clenched my gut like a fist. Payment? Mrs. Johnson gasped. What do you mean? It could mean someone has to take Clara's place to free her, I said, horror spreading through the space like a thick fog. The shadows began to swirl more violently, a low growl echoing within the attic. Clara's voice fanned from the whispers surrounding the house, sweet yet laced with sorrow. Don't. Then it struck me the letters detailed Clara's bond with the angel. Perhaps I could make a deal, counter the sacrifice. Could I rewrite her fate? We must put the angel back. It starts and ends with it, I urged. In a flash of movement, as I turned to find the cursed ornament, the shadows twisted angrily, pulling at my ankles. You don't belong here. They echoed. Clara. I shouted. We need your guidance. The room darkened. A gust rushed through, scattering the papers like leaves in a storm. Then I saw her, shimmering against the darkness. Help us, we are the burden you carry, she whispered, her voice pained but resolute. We will not leave you. I shouted back, determination igniting within. We'll find a way. Just show us how. The shadows recoiled, swirling around the fading shine of Clara's spirit. In a rush, I grabbed the porcelain angel, its form cool and heavy in my hands. Clara, we're returning it. Be free. With all my strength, I hurled it across the attic, and it shattered against the floor in a glorious explosion of porcelain and light, sending waves of energy pulsing through the room. In that moment, Clara surged forward, a radiant glow filling the attic, washing away the shadows like water flowing over stones. The whispers turned to cries, angry and despairing, echoing as they were consumed. I watched in awe as Clara's spirit enveloped the room, every corner filled with the bright light of hope. Set me free, she whispered, and with a final surge, the shadows dissolved into a gentle breeze, the weight of the curse lifting. The golden radiance encumbered me. And then, silence. The attic felt lighter, the air was clear. Clara's presence lingered, warm and soft, as if she were saying goodbye one last time, a silent farewell wrapped in love and release. Mom? The boy asked, nudging his mother. Is she gone? Yes, sweetheart. She is free now, Mrs. Johnson whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. We stood in the aftermath of a story rewritten. Clara's curse had been broken, but remnants of its weight lingered. Let us go home, I said softly, still cradling the key. As we left the attic behind, I thought about the lives Clara had touched, the family who had lost her, all secured in the shadows of history. But together, we chose to step into the light, to honor her legacy. We crossed through the door into the soft radiance of dawn, hope flowing like a bright thread stitching together the cracks in our hearts. What will we tell everyone? The boy asked, bright eyes searching our faces. A new story, I replied. One where love conquers darkness. Always. With our hearts heavy yet filled with wonder, we stepped into the morning light, ready to truly live again. And I held onto the key tightly, knowing it was more than an object. It was a bridge to understanding, a force of change and choice, and the reminder that even in the darkest shadows, hope can shine bright. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could change everything. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voices matter, don't let them go unheard. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.